So then for you, when you talk about these, in-depth prompts that you're writing, do you normally look for existing prompts that others that are out there, and then do you modify them, or are you just creating all of yours from scratch?
No, I wish I could create them all from scratch. That would be impressive. So there's a GPT that I've used, which really helps. It's made by Ruben Hassid. It's called Prompt Maker.
Yep.
And it's, game changing for me. That actually helped me develop that newsletter prompt, which really kind of started to, create credibility within the AI marketing space for me. I think, people actually started to notice me when I devised that prompt. It was kind of, tandem 50-50 human and the GPT I mentioned, kind of co-creating it, because I had a baseline prompt, which I then just elevated using the prompt maker, because it knows all the best practices, like the take a deep breath at the end, and also the chain of thought prompting and all that, best practices.
So in this scenario, then you'll go in, you'll leverage that tool to help you create the prompts that you then leverage as part of your workflow.
Yeah, 100%. I've got so many custom GPTs at this point that I just use for absolutely everything. And most of the time I'm using Prompt Maker to help me elevate them.
Craft it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah.
How long does it take you to build a custom GPT?
Well, not long at all. So even, for example, this morning, one of my clients wanted a specific type of illustration on the front of their carousel covers. It was like a watercolor style graphic. And I quickly, in like 30 minutes, an hour max, put together this GPT, which will then create prompts to input into Ideogram and create watercolor style graphics to input on the front cover carousel. So I can turn them around in no time now. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm curious then too, because like the process for people who haven't built any of these, the prompts, not the personal one, but the GPTs, but is there a name for the ones that you make yourself?
Custom GPTs.
Custom GPT. Thank you. So for those, like, what's the process look like?
So I mean, it's very, very simple. I guess you just simply click on, explore GPTs and then select create in the top. Yeah. Then it will just ask you for a title, which can be anything. And then instructions. That's the most important part, is that instruction box. So I will, input a very simple, instruction into the prompt maker and say, I need a GPT to create ideogram prompts, which are in watercolor style, in these hex codes. And that's it. It's like, a few sentences, and the GPT will create, the GPT to create the GPTs is a bit, meta, but it will provide the first draft. And then there's probably around 3-4 rounds of iterations before I get to a good place. And I really have to copy individual sections rather than the whole thing, because I find if you copy the whole prompt and keep putting it into the prompt maker, then it will only degrade and get worse, actually.
I wondered that. I played with some before and I felt like that might happen. Okay, interesting. And then when you mentioned building some of these for your customers, are you basically training it on their specific business or data? Like, are you taking this prompt that you've generated and then are you modifying it basically with information about their business so that it's then generating outputs based around that, or how does that work?
Sure. So, I mean, it really depends. There's an onboarding questionnaire when they'll provide me their preferences, in their writing style, etc. But I honestly ask Perplexity to tell me about them most of the time, and it will provide a very comprehensive summary, like what university they studied at, how much money they've made sometimes. And I'll just chuck all that information in paragraph format into those custom GPTs. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. And then are you giving them access to those custom GPTs, or are you just leveraging to create the information and then handing that over to them?
I'm just using it. It's kind of like the intellectual property, I'd say. So I'm keeping that to myself. But for coaching clients, I will create a GPT for them and give it to them to help them create, because that's very much done with them. I'm not doing it for them. So I want the best success for them. So I don't mind giving it to them in that instance.
Sure. That makes sense. That's the access they're paying for in that scenario.